Right, so what we want to do is we want to give some form of kind of a death animation, if you will. So the idea is we'll get a animal, and we'll get the bat because it's got kind of two costumes it alternates between. So it'll give its look of it flapping. So if we just say events, when green flag clicked, forever, looks, next costume. Right, so based off that, we get crazy fast flapping. So obviously this is where the wait becomes quite important, and 1 second is not probably ideal, but that seems a reasonable pace, or 0.15 if you want to do that. Right, so that's an okay pace. The problem is if we want to get a costume where the bat goes through an animation where it blows up, this is where this next costume thing becomes a bit of a problem, or it needs to be worked around at least. So anyway, that's the costume it's on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this to make another one, and then I'm going to convert it to a bitmap, because a bitmap means I can rub out and do other bits and pieces. So I'm going to say that it's going to be blowing up from the inside out. That's just kind of going to obliterate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with just a couple holes in the bat there, and then I'm going to even rename it up here. So you can rename your costumes, because bat 2A and bat 2B is a bit awkward, so I can say like explode, right? And then duplicate again, and then with that current damage, and then I'll just add some more. There you go, some more damage happening there, and then I'll duplicate again, so it naturally goes explode 2, explode 3. So then I'll start to the array's a bit bigger, and this is starting to look, quite vaporized. And then I'll just do one last one, because I just want a few little fragments left over. Right, so in terms of that, when it goes from there, 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 there. Okay, so what we want to say is keep going through these next costumes, but only when I'll say when mouse clicked, or when, touching ball or whatever, when it gets shot, for example, then we want it to go through that animation. So I'll say forever if, so next costume, and then I'll say if yeah, it's greater than. So there's one here under looks called costume number. If costume number is greater than 2, so it'll be gone on to costume 3, which we know is when it starts to explode, I will say switch costume to the first one, which is that. So if I take that out and run it now, what we'll see is flap flap die, flap flap die, flap flap die. So what I want to be able to do is go to this. Okay, so 2A, yeah, okay, it's greater than 1. Oh, yeah, okay. So we got, yep. So if costume is greater than 1, so it goes 1, 2. I don't know why it's done that, but anyway. Okay, so it's happy doing those two. So it rotates between these two, it flaps, it's happy, and then I'll say something like if, this is how you do a click for those who don't know how you do mouse click and register them, so it'll say if touching mouse pointer and mouse down, because that's how you click on something, you have the mouse on it and you click, I'm then going to go through the animation of it dying. So what we would do then is we would go looks, go to switch to costume explode, then go control wait because we don't want the explode to happen super fast. And then I duplicate, explode, explode 2, explode 3, explode 4. And then I might say looks hide. And then that would be our animation kind of thing it would go. So now if I start the game, it's fine. I click on the bat. There you go. So if I start, because I hide, we have show again, so it's one of those little things that's common issue. So if I hit show at the start of it, show. So now if I click on it, it dies. Looks like its center's gone really funny, so down there. I don't know why its center's changed, because that's really annoying. So I just move the center. So this is a common thing sometimes when you've got people who've got cars they're trying to drive and they're going, it's turning really weird, but the code looks fine, and it's purely because the center of the costume's off, and then the turn circle's based around the center of the costume, so it looks really weird. So now we get that there. So hit it, should die. So that actually looks like a nice explosion. I could say, back to it, hide, wait a random amount of time, show back up again, and this is how you can get enemies respawning. I could get this cloning and falling down the screen, and then I click it with the mouse. I'll get rid of this cat, as much as I love the cat. Which we'll do that quickly, because I think seeing cloning in a range of different scenarios will help people get more used to using the cloning and actually finding out, yeah, it's actually really good to use in these cases. So let's get it falling down the screen. So we're going to say motion. Right, let's get to show up, stop. Okay, so I want it to start up the top of the screen somewhere here. So the easiest way is whenever I change a start position here, this number will change. So you notice if I move it across a bit, so it's updated. So if I say go to here, and I'm going to say operators, pick a random X position. So I want it to be out the top there for sure. That is a happy number, but I want this to be a random number between 240 negative and 240 positive, because that's the distance from the screen from end to end. Okay, so I want it to go somewhere across the top, and then what I want it to do is do this text costume thing, and I'm going to say motion change Y by -10, and keep doing that. And then I'll say if costume, if touching there, and then I'll say down the bottom, just because if it gets to the bottom edge or what have you, then I want it to kind of disappear or respawn at the top or something like that. But also disappear, because we're going to step it into cloning in a minute. So I'll say if, and I don't want to say if touching edge, because in theory that makes sense, but what happens if we're touching this edge as we're going down here, but the edge of the wing is going along this edge, or we actually start at the top touching that edge up here anyway, so essentially it's going to constantly just be putting it back at the start, which is really going to stuff things up. So I mean, what you do is people draw different sprites. When they go in the background, they'll draw like a red line, and they'll say if touching red color, do that, which you can do, which is fine. Or you can not bother with that as well and just go if the Y position, which is the vertical, think X is motocross, drive across, and Y is like yell you're falling down or whatever. That's whatever helps you associate. Anyway, what we want to say is when the position is, the Y position is kind of less than what I might test it with. What's it say on the bat? There you go, there's the information on the bat. Y position is at 202. So I might say 200, just round it, and then say as soon as the position gets to about 200, I want it just to disappear and then start again at the top and respawn, and then I'm going to change that into the cloning behavior. Okay, so if the Y position, now because it's a negative number, and as it goes further down the negative number becomes larger, which basically means the number's becoming smaller, if you will, because it's heading into the opposite direction in the negatives. So if I say the y position, if the y position is less than negative 200, which would make, you know, like negative 201, for example, would make this case, I'm going to say take that piece of code, because it's the one that puts it in the top in the first place, and just re-go and just go back up the top. And then what I'll do is also I'll put it in here and then tell it to show. And I might tell it to wait a random amount of time, so wait operators random. I'll go a bit fast, but the stuff's not too bad. So somewhere between 0.2 of a second and maybe 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds. Right, and in theory you could do that for there too, but you get the idea. So in theory, it's going to rain down the page, which is very slow, so I'll get it to kind of rain down a little bit faster. But there you go, you can see it just keeps continuously raining down. So I'm going to say negative like 25. Right, so if I click it, it dies, but then it reappears. I click it. I click you, click. Come on, click. Yeah, then you die. Okay, so the click one's not exactly that great, but if I just change it to mouse over, if touching mouse is far easier, because I don't have to worry about clicking at all. I can just go, you touch the mouse. Okay, so then in terms of that there, what we want to do is we want to get this into like a cloning scenario where we could actually get more than one bat on the screen at any one given time. So, as last time, we'll say when I start as a clone. So at the start of this, what we'll do is we'll take all this off and we'll say hide the original, and then we'll only get the clones to show up. So hopefully it should stop the duplication issue, which you can tend to get. So I'm going to say hide. When does it start as a clone? I'm going to say show, do everything we already had said. Okay, so we're going to say show, go to the end, the bottom of the X of the page, forever, next costume change, if costume number, yep, if touching mouse pointer explode, hide, no, not so much. What we're going to say is wait, we're going to say here delete this clone. Let's get rid of this one here, and we're going to, excuse me, we say delete this clone here. If the Y position is there, what we're going to say is, yeah, we could say just go back up to the top, because we'll wait till that clone is deleted. If we want to have lots of these clones appearing on the page, I can say if I wanted 10 clones, I can say repeat 10 times, and then I can say create clone of bat2. Or if let's just test this first. Hit start. We get the 10 bats all in one whack, which is super great because I can blow them up really easy. But it's done the 10 clones and that's it. If I can go forever, this is going to create some fun issues because it's just going to spam clone forever and just this massive mock of Black Death. So what we want to do is something like wait. Do I have that random? I got rid of it, didn't I? So I'm going to say wait operators, pick a random between 0.2 of a second and 2 seconds, create clone of bat. There we will have a wait, and now we have a reasonable amount of time for, oh yeah, there's a clone, oh there's another one. So some of them are going fast, but I mean 2 seconds can be a long time. But we've got that there, that's cool. And I mean you might say, okay, well I actually want it somewhere between that and 1 second because that's not fast enough for my sweet kind of mouse killing action. And then what you can do at a game like this scenario here is we can make a variable, make a score. So data, and I'm gonna just make a score. Okay, and we'll set the score to 0 at the start of the game because that's what happens with scores. The instance where I kill a bat is really where I should get some points. So I'm going to say change score by 1 when I do that. And then I can set up something like health if I really wanted. So I could make another one called lives. Okay, and I'm going to say set lives to 3. And then basically anytime the bat gets to the bottom of the screen, I want to say lose a life. And then if I run out of lives, game over. That makes sense, hey? So I'll say this is where it gets to the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to say change lives by -1. And then, well, right, and then I can say go here if lives is less, so let's get lives, if lives is less than 1, so it's 0, then I could say control stop all, and it would stop the game. I could say you're dead, I could say switch to backdrop. Okay, let's do a switch to backdrop one because this is one when people go, I want to see a you did screen. So I'm going to say duplicate this one because we have a normal game screen, and then I'm going to have like the whole you did sucker screen. Right, so I get text, I get red, and I'm just going to go you did. Right. And then position it. You let me grab you? Yeah, grab, sweet. Okay, you did. Well, that was good. What happened there? You did. Okay, cool. So we got that there. That one's still there. Okay, cool. Right, so on here then, if we want to look at the code, we're going to say looks switch backdrop to backdrop 2, then stop, and then I'm going to say switch the backdrop. Sorry, I just brain stopped for a minute there. At the start of the game, obviously set to 1, and then what I want to do is I want to take this condition because I don't want any bats on the screen when I die, because they might be over my you dead sign. So I'll say if lives is less than 1, I'm just going to delete the clone. So if there's 10 on the screen when I lose my lives and there's still like 5 other bats on the screen, whatever, they're all going to say, well, lives less than 0, quickly delete you all. And because I'm going to tell this to also put a very partial weight in here. The reason why I put these weights in seems a bit random, but what happens is Scratch is having to kind of process code visually and do things visually, and what can happen is I can say, if lives less than 1, delete clone. But I can also say if lives less than 1, switch the backdrop, stop the game, and it might switch the backdrop, stop the game before all the clones have had enough time to delete everything. Even though everything happens very fast, this one might just happen slightly faster. So if I tell it to wait for a very split second, which we as a user are not going to notice, but the computer has enough time to make sure it does all the deleting of these clones first, it'll have the desired effect. So I'm going, I've got my score, yay, my score's going. But I'm losing lives because I'm missing bats and stuff, so I'm going to miss some more bats, and I've got some more on the screen. There it goes, you did, and we've seen it delete all the clones and everything, so there we go. So that's like almost a full game I've managed to do in a video. That's why this video's got way too long. And I had thought of something else. What did I think of? It was probably going to be quite good. Unfortunately, you've just missed out because I totally can't remember. So we've got that. The bat's appearing, the bat's falling down. We've got, so if I start the game again, we've got the green screen. We're killing the bats. We're losing lives. And then, that's what I was thinking of, is they're falling down the screen and then they die. Now, the one thing for me, I find any game should increase in difficulty as the game goes on. So this is the speed the bats fall. If the bat's speed fell, that it was falling got faster as the game went on, that would make it a lot more interesting. So what we're going to do is we want to keep it at negative 25 plus as the score increases, perhaps, because it's the only thing that's really easy to access, is have this falling speed increase. So if we use the operators, you got to love a bit of maths. Okay, so we say negative 25, right, plus, well, we want the score, but the score's going upwards, so it's going a high number, so effectively it should be slowing it down, and then eventually if I had a score above 25 it should be going up, which would break the game, because we want the mats to only ever go down. So if I say times negative 1 of the score, this is a very nice, simple programming coded maths type way to take whatever the current number is and just flip it to a negative. So you just take score, and score might be 5, and you say it times by negative 1. 5 times by negative 1 is just negative 5. Mind you, negative 5 times by negative 1 makes it back to 5 again. The miracles of negative 1. Which you actually use a fair amount in coding, funnily enough. Okay, so now, if we watch our game, and I play it well enough, we should notice that effectively these bats start to increase, and I'll start to lose and miss more and more bats as this goes on. So there you go. So it did increase the speed. So effectively it should have been this negative 25 plus another 17, which we're getting up to, what's that, negative 32. No, that's not, that's totally 42. So yeah, so there you go. There's a full game with cloning, with repeating enemies and a simple death, and a change to actually say that you're dead and the game will start and what have you. So I made a full game in that time, which I didn't intend to do, but there you go.